Welcome, brothers. Welcome, sisters. Welcome to our program On Target. As soon as we start this program, you can pick up a telephone and give us a call. We never have a subject matter. We speak about anything: politics, religion, socioeconomic issues, any issue trending. We speak about it. And most of all, you have the power and the authority to give us a call. The number to call is 442-0175. We on RealFM 91.9, YouTube, and our Facebook pages. We encourage you to share our program and like our program. It's always important to us when you share and like our program, and you can make comments. Well, by now, Midi is history. Yesterday we had Midi. It was also, the Catholics also call it a memorial of St. Joseph the Worker. And workers would have been celebrating their Midi and enjoying themselves. There were no major issues or major contentious issues. So I guess Midi was just light and enjoyable among those who normally have a lot of food and drinks and people have good fun. But you are free to comment on it if you so wish. Another issue we tend to avoid quite a lot is abortion. We don't speak about abortion. And abortion is the deliberate termination of a human pregnancy. And it most often performed during the first 28 weeks of pregnancy. For some reason or the other, a pregnancy could either end by the woman giving birth and having the child. You could have a miscarriage, nothing that she did deliberately to end the pregnancy. You have a miscarriage. Or you could choose to abort the child. You could choose to terminate the pregnancy. And it is more often done within the first 28 weeks. That's about within 7 months. There's a lot of issues over it. Millions and millions and millions of babies have been terminated. Sometimes I watch some countries, particularly Europe, they practically aborting themselves into a minority. Very soon, maybe in the next 200 years, you'll hardly have white people in Europe because they're constantly aborting. Most of the nations, the population is dropping. In Japan, Europe, the population is dropping. People are having less and less children because they are deliberately aborting the children. Our population in Grenada have not risen, maybe in the last 70 to 100 years. And sometimes the statistics will tell you that the population you have is not sustainable. Sometimes I look at Grenada and I see the level of infrastructure that we have. Play fields all about the place. Most of them have been lit now. And I know they don't have children to play. You have cricket teams, and in some village that had 2 cricket teams in yesteryear, now they're struggling to have one. Obviously, there are other distractions that come about. Some people prefer to sit and enjoy the comfort of the telephone than to go and play cricket. But the reality is, there's a lot of places in the world where the population is not improving. Because our society chooses to have an abortion. Some people have pro-life and pro-choice. And pro-choice is that my body is mine. I could do what I want with it. And if I choose to terminate my pregnancy, it is my right. You have millions of people campaigning and lobbying for pro-choice. And then you have people who say they are pro-life. Well, that is a simple way to put it. And they are campaigning against abortion. The Catholic Church is very strong on these issues of pro-life and they're against abortion. Although you have a lot of practitioners of the faith that support abortion. So the official dogma of the church would be against abortion. But you will have a lot of practicing Catholic committing abortion, terminating pregnancy. Some people argue that the child is not a child. So at a certain age, they say the child is not yet a child. And some people say it is from conception. And you have this story in the Bible when Mary was pregnant in the first trimester, that she visited Elizabeth. And Elizabeth said that John, the child, jumped in her womb. He danced for joy. So obviously, Jesus recognized John, or John recognized Jesus. That is from the Christian biblical purposes. But the issue is, in a lot of instances, people advocate that you should commit abortion. You should terminate the pregnancy. Some people say it's murder. So they pass laws to cause you to legally kill your children. Well, those who are pro-life would say murder. And those who are pro-choice, they don't like to use the word murder. They say we terminate the pregnancy because it's our right. A woman have right to determine what goes on with her body, and she should terminate the child. And they give you up to, I think it is best, better put it that way, most of the abortion is done before 28 weeks. 28 weeks is 7 months. And you have people 7 months children that leave. Sometimes you're born, you have challenges, you remain in an incubator, you are taken care of, you leave and you grow and you get big. So this is the issue. We normally don't talk about that, but it's a big issue. I'm certain you hear about Roe versus Wade in the United States of America, and that was a constitutional matter, and now they remove it. So you find a number of states in America that come back and banning abortion again. And people, however, could move to other states and legally commit abortion, legally terminate the pregnancy. And if you are pro-life, you're going to say they could legally murder the child. If you are pro-choice, you're going to say, well, the choice is yours to determine whether you should terminate the pregnancy. You wouldn't use harsh words, kill your child. That's a big issue. That's one of the challenges with man. Man has this sense of reason, and they could make the decision. Animals normally wouldn't do that. Animals might have miscarriage. They would not deliberately terminate their children. And they have different methods, and you can use medication. You use pills. It helps the cervix to open and to have contraction in the uterus and show out what is inside, expel what is inside. Or you can have procedures, medical procedures, where you open the cervix and they use a suction pump and suck out the contents of the uterus. They have an instrument called a curator, and they use it to scrape out the tissue that remain in the uterus. Well, when you meet, you have in the communities, you have some people in the communities that do the local abortion too. They have a piece of wire. They bend it and push it inside the uterus by opening up the cervix, and they push it inside the uterus and store it up. It does the same, it's the same principle. They say D and C, dilation and creation. And they remove the contents. You have instances where there is complication and people die as a result of abortion. In 90% of the instances, you don't have a big problem. After 90 days, you might get pregnant again. And some people committed these acts on more than one occasion. And they have serious complications. Well, when you deal with the hospitals and the medical personnel, they may be able to provide antibiotic and anti-inflammatory drugs and help you to increase the chance of less complication. But the principle is either the basic principle abortion is to open the cervix. And once the cervix is open, the contents of the cervix will come out. And they store it up. We call it sometimes, you hear the medical procedure, D and C, dilation and curettage. And they do that. So abortion is a big issue in the world. We don't speak about it much yet. But what goes on in the international community affects us. What goes on there affects us. And in the United States and Europe, they practically the pace setters. So you have abortion is a serious issue. It is taking place here in Grenada too, and all over the Caribbean. The African countries perhaps is more object to it most. So people don't have as many children as they had in the past because they have the facility to terminate pregnancy. Some people against the termination. You have family planning, big organization, big group that encourage planning your family. They say make one child. At one time in China, you could only make one child. I think China tell you could make two now. Because China run into problems. The population is dropping. And people, they have the elderly people, nobody to take care of them. And some people want one child, but they want a man. They don't want girls. Because in some societies, having a male child is more important. At least if you want to have one child, you prefer to have a male. So these give rise to people killing the girls after they're born. Because these leaders and the policies in the country want to dictate how much children somebody has. And there are methods that you can use to prevent yourself having children, particularly if you're a Christian. I think they have the Bidens method, and you can prevent yourself from having children by abstaining from sex during the period of time when you're most likely to get pregnant. This one is a tough one. Some people don't have the discipline to abstain from sex during that period of time. And then some people use tablets. So you find some people don't have children. By the time they reach 35, 40, they fight to make a first child. In local parlance, we might say the womb turn a tomb. Because they've been storing it up, vacuuming out the contents out of the womb. And in some instances, you find complication, you find infection, particularly if it is not done in a proper medical facilities. even there sometimes you have complication and people have to go in more than one occasion. And then you have medical practitioners who perhaps forget to take the Hippocratic oath. I heard stories where a young girl go to the doctor say you're pregnant. Well, she thought she's pregnant. And the doctor immediately encouraged her to have an abortion. But sometimes she ain't pregnant yet. Because if you open the cervix and you cause contraction of the uterus, whatever contents inside there may come out. And some medical professionals make a lot of money that way. They make a lot of money that way by being the abortion doctors. There's a lot of issues of it in some countries. So this is, but you could give me a call. You could pick up the telephone and give me a call. You know, sometimes these topics, people prefer to leave it alone. But you know we fear no topic. And we'll speak on it from time to time. Because it's a big issue in the United States now. Abortion. Termination of pregnancy. Deliberate termination of the human pregnancy. And most often it is performed during the first 28 weeks of pregnancy. That is 7 months. Up to 7 months. After that, you could have more complication. It's done. It's done still, but you're likely to have much more complication. Because you know a child could leave. Even though the child is 7 months, the child could leave. And the moral issue come out. Who are you to determine who should live and who should die? Yes, caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, my
and
brother.
welcome to the people of Target, on Target. Yeah, very interesting, controversial topic indeed, yes. And I think you're bang on target when you speak of the implications of such acts as abortion. I mean, I'm a person who I'm very, very in tune with the news, what is happening in particular in America, in concerning this Roe v. Wade and things like that. And what's been happening for the last couple of months during the Biden administration. It seems like the Republicans want to, basically criminalize the abortion. I mean, everyone has the right to their own opinion, and every person is indeedly responsible for their health and their body. And what you are saying there, the Republicans want to charge, for instance, in Texas, I think they pass a law that the woman can be charged if she's found to have an abortion. Charge is also liable to land that lady in the death penalty. That's how dread this law has become, right? And other following suit. I've seen a case, heard of a case where the state, I think it was a state governor, he said any doctor that performed any such act will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. So this thing is getting very serious. Even rape victims are forced to bear a child. You can be a teenager, you can be 10 years old as a female, and you are raped, you are forced to bear that child. And that to me is more draconian than the abortion itself. And in place by men who probably doesn't have a child to determine women's right and women's body. This is not supposed to be happening. Everyone's supposed to be in charge of their body and make decisions on their own health. But Mr. Pierre, I ain't sure if I want to stay on this topic. I want to share a little bit. Can I?
Go right ahead, man. Anything.
Right. In my time listening to politicians all over the Caribbean, all over the world, a matter of fact, we enter into a phrase for the last couple of years, and we stigmatize politicians, we stigmatize followers, supporters, and members of political parties. It becomes at a stage in Grenada right now that everything has been politicized. And I will say, Mr. Pierre, we are not getting any better in Grenada right now. There is no coming together right now. Based on what I'm seeing, based on what I'm hearing. If you look at American politics, the two front runners, well, one is the president presently, and one is vying to be president again. These two men, one is going to be 80, one is going to be 80-something. These are two old men. One was in politics almost all his life. One was not. Yet, he was a first-time politician, and we saw the damage that he has done basically to the world. This man denied COVID. This man has all kind of ideas to run the country that he lives in. And you see what's happening. All sorts of scandals. And you see what his followers are doing. Even people that he nominated to run for governors who denying. Because he make a principle of saying, if you lose, say you lose and cry foul. And he has his governors and senators, when I have to them, if they lose, they won. And if they won, they have no problem. That's how dangerous it is. And this politics is trickling down into the Caribbean and most likely into Grenada. What I'm seeing happening, we have a government in office, which is led by the NDC, because Mitchell and NDC, right? They won election, fair and square. The NDC have 9 seats, NMP have 6 seats. What my problem is, what is the problem with the NDC supporters and probably members would say, well, you all get a cut skin. We know that. What is the problem? Your problem as the new government is to rule the country, or govern the country, not rule, but govern the country in the best way for all citizens and sundry. Why we have to put politics into everything that we do? I look at the Midi celebration yesterday, Mr. Pierre, and to be honest, you cannot condone wrong by doing wrong. You have a union leader calling up a host of a radio program on that platform when that union leader is supposed to be talking about workers' rights. He chooses to reply or respond to what a guy says on a radio program. That is how low and dirty our politics has been getting. That same said radio host or talk show host apparently has been attacked, probably physically and verbally online all the time, but physically is a part of getting very annoyed with, because if we reach into that stage where we're trying to hit people for speaking, and the last time I checked, freedom of speech is everyone right, but freedom of speech has consequences. The truth needs no defense, right? If a man is speaking the truth, he needs not to defend himself. If he's saying something wrong about you and you can give him a lawsuit, there's the course of action to do it. You go to the court, you sue him, right? We have a prime minister for the last 10 months or so, came into office on all kind of grandiose promises. I could go on and on and on. And then they will say, well, the former prime minister did it. Okay, fair enough. I'm a follower of both parties, right? I'm a supporter of one. That doesn't mean that the one I support, I will always say they're always right. There are things I do not like. But what I'm seeing happening right now with this particular administration, they can do nothing wrong. Like literally nothing wrong. And that is where the danger lies. You have to put an end to where, or limit our line to where wrong is wrong and right is right. This government is not doing everything right. They are not. By no mere fact of the means they're doing everything right. And we've seen it every day. But yet you shall not talk, and if you talk, you are liable to get physical altercation. And that, my friend Mr. Pierre, is not good. I am telling Grenadians, I want to tell Grenadians and probably listeners to this program and NBC supporters, please tone down the rhetoric, because what I'm seeing, this is the first time I've ever seen in all my years covering Midi. I did be on the road on Midi, playing music and stuff like that, and I retired from this business. And I have known to be seeing GIS and government channels for the 3 stations that we have in Grenada playing the Midi celebrations. You will see the Minister of Labour, you will see the speeches, and you will get local to come back and vote for the ministers then and now. But what I saw yesterday was a clear overtake of the GIS by a senator. Right? She was posting particularly selected placards, in my view. I could be wrong, right? Like GIS staff was on holiday and she was a camera person, and they were showing selected placards and a certain union. And what I heard yesterday is when a certain union leader speak and he show his pecan and he get on with his whatever he get on with yesterday, and he feeling proud for that, and the other union leaders are speaking, these people and them was jeering these people on them. They were like angry towards these union leaders. What I'm saying, teachers are not the only workers in Grenada. We have other sectors in the country, and this particular union leader that's saying there are NAP elements in the Ministry of Education and such. Brother, you are in charge of a body that has different people and different opinions. You cannot judge everybody by your perceived conception, and that is dangerous. Mr. Pierre, we need to stop it.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
Yes, caller, I've been saying for... Yes, we have another caller on the line. Welcome. Yes, caller,
Afternoon,
welcome.
Mr. Pierre.
Go right ahead.
Calling from Union St. Andrews again. Still
Yeah.
waiting on Anthony to call.
Okay.
Because I have a worker from the government and the social worker just passed in a report to her and she tell me they're cutting off a lot of people name from the program.
Okay.
Not my name alone.
You Shirley Robinson?
Sorry,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Yes, this is the same caller. Antonito, you had chastised the caller. And she said, well, she gave you your number. She said, investigate the case. But you see, caller, before, when the government declare restorative justice and the practicality of restorative justice on the ground is political victimization and vengeance. And I have said on a number of occasions, when you establish that in the country, you opening a Pandora box. You damaging the very fabric of society. Welcome, caller.
Mr. Pierre, good afternoon.
Go right ahead.
I listen mainly rally. You could tell me what I'm hearing a big man say. How are you going to correct the children and them? The things what he getting and what he's saying. How we correct the children and them? Mr. Pierre, it's time for us to live us as big people. The big people, as big people in this world we living in there now. I know once when I was in GCN, I walk and you go in Midi rally, I never hear this thing on them. I never get that thing on them in my whole life. What Grenada coming to be?
You see, caller, sometimes we have to, sometimes we don't know our history and we don't look at the indicators. The government of Grenada has declared restorative justice. The Prime Minister said, we campaign on a policy of transformation, but it is not so much transformation, it is restorative justice. And restorative justice is practically victimization of vengeance on the ground. And that is what you see playing out. Now, some people concerned of what the union leaders say. So, what you have to understand, look at the workability, according to Maurice Bishop, in the schoolhouse. What would happen to the children in the schoolhouse?
It's like these people and them don't have no Midi rally yesterday.
Yes, they had a Midi rally. That's is Midi rally.
Rally, Mr. Pierre.
Well, you see, you know, it is relative. You may not, that may not be what you're accustomed to, but that is what it is.
They are political rally.
Well, yes, because unions are not far from...
Mr. Pierre, these people understand if they win election, they in power and walk towards the people, not to play political game with people.
That is what you would like to see happen. Remember...
I cannot fall for them things and them that political business.
Yes, but the majority of Grenadians fell for it.
For people, union people only know they're collecting all people $2. And they just know they want to beat them out about political. What happened to the people? What cost of living higher and thing? Check people's wages. That's what you want to go and do, not what you go in and say. I cannot understand this thing. We have to stop this foolishness and get them as big people and act like people and stop this foolishness right now. I just don't want to hear this thing on them. Have a blessed day.
Yes, thank you, caller. Caller, you may not want to hear it, but that's the reality. The government that decided to implement a policy of restorative justice. I have been saying for a long while, My biggest concern is what happened in the schoolhouse. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre.
Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, what you said was it was Midi or an next NDC rally.
Well, you could have put it any way you want. It's relative. Caller, you have to remember that the unions seek the union's interests.
That's what they're supposed to do.
Yes, but caller. A lot of the people expect the union to seek the interests of people who are not in the union. The teachers' union seek the people in their union. And we have to face that reality. What we have to concern about, and if I was a parent with children in school, I would pay particular attention to what happened to my child in school. Because if restorative justice get entrenched in the school, it is tantamount to political victimization.
What I'm saying, when you look at placard, it's a lot. I wonder if it was a rally, because you don't see nothing about the workers' right.
Well, that is right? was the right. You see, you have to understand that the NDC have always have a good relationship with some unions.
But Mr. Pierre, that's the question, Who elect the union leader? The government or the workers?
The workers did.
The workers, right? And because look, let's say like you have children, okay, but then you're not in a union, but your child or your children in a union. You understand? So then when you look at it, it will affect you because you are the parent and the child there, right? And they don't seek in the interest of your child. Right? Because we have to understand, we have to understand that Grenada is a country that belongs to everybody, and we have a right to speak about the wrong that's going on, right? And I can understand how you have a Labor Day. I have nothing to discuss about the right because we are human beings, right? And how could we consider ourselves someone who cares, someone who loves, and we want to pick up our Bible and go to church every day, right? And the same people that losing their job, right? They go to the same church with you. You call them brother and sister. But you like what going on with them? You like what the government doing them? How could we say we are our brothers, our brother keepers, our neighbor, we love our neighbor, and we looking at what we see happening with workers. Yes, they might unionize, but the union taking money from them. Right? They pay the union. Right? So you're taking money from them, and then you don't seek anything, but then you siding with the government for the injustice that's going on with these people. That is unfair. Right? Yes, they're not in union, but you're taking money from the workers still. So I don't understand it. To me, not that I don't understand, but what I'm saying, you have people, we are all Grenadians. Those who in union, they who not in union, but we should stand by the side as about the injustice that's going on.
Thank you, caller. And I think that is, caller, I think you sums up what is the big challenge we have in Grenada. Now, if I have my children, if I have children in school now, I'm saying to them, don't waste time learning history in school. That will make no sense. Don't waste time learning that. I will teach you the history of my family and the history of the village. Because you believe other people have to seek your interests. The union do not have to seek your interests. There are some union leaders that take a holistic approach to it and may speak on behalf of the workers that are not represented. The union don't care about productivity. You have to understand that. The union do not want any politician rock the boat. They don't care about that. And that is the challenge we have. You have to determine who seeks your interests. And when we get tied up, we get tricked. If your child is going to school, and I've been saying that for the last 7 years on the radio, 70% of the children that exit school cannot meet the minimum requirement. Whose business it is? The union don't care about that. That is not the union business. The union concerns about the members of the union. There are some workers that fall in the bargaining unit. So they're paying what the union consider as agency fee. But the union don't have to care about them. They don't break a sweat over them. The National Democratic Congress have always had a good relationship with some unions. The unions have been less combative. What happened to us? We don't minding with business. Yes, caller, welcome.
Afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, caller, welcome.
Yeah. I want to know if the PW, Public Workers Union, is not a member under the umbrella Trade Union Congress.
Yes, TUC is a member.
Okay. Now, I think the role of every trade union leader on Labor Day is to go to fight and outline the cause for the workers. You understand? If the leader of the PW was addressing an issue which was relevant to workers being fired, and he was being jailed by certain sections of the Labor Day movement, certain sections of certain organization, it shows that there is not unity among the TUC and its members. Because if it's an umbrella trade union movement and I speaking on the behalf of workers and a certain section booing me or jeering me, well, something is wrong. And we're speaking in the interest of all workers.
But caller, the Public Workers Union tend to have more workers in the lower income group. And maybe they are affected more by workers losing their jobs. Whereas the Teachers Union do not have workers in that group. So all it means is that the Teachers Union does not express solidarity with the Public Workers Union in that instance. You see, the auxiliary staff of the teaching is represented by Public Workers Union. But if you remember, the government fired a number of them, and they put the authority into the hands of the principal of school to employ these people. So it may mean that the Teachers Union, it may mean not in sync, not in agreement with the Public Workers Union on that matter. It doesn't mean that TUC is not united. But on that particular issue, the teachers maybe don't support the Public Workers Union. And nothing, these things will happen. In St. Lucia, I believe, we have two different TUC. In Guyana, they have two organizations. In Trinidad, so Grenada's Trade Union Council is still more united. Many years ago, GMMIWU was not even able to, they paid late, and unions had to lobby to let them sit in. Yes, caller. Caller, you there?
Yeah,
Welcome. Oh, sorry. I thought you left. Sorry, caller. Yeah, we have a caller? Yes, caller, welcome. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yes, Mr. Pierre.
Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Anybody who brand what went on in the name of labor movement, labor trade union movement yesterday as political, they are perfectly correct. I listened or I happened to hear part of the Teachers Union president on the news this morning. And it was a political speech he was giving on the behalf of NDC. It was perfectly clear. What do you call his name again?
Well, the
one that
Teachers
is
Union
Public
president.
Workers Union.
Yeah, the
And
president.
Grimes. When Grimes spoke, he stood up for the people that got fired in Kariku. And he was booed by part of the crowd. I mean, how can people be so arrogant and heartless?
Well, Color, you see all the, I don't know how you could say that. You see the manner in which the hostility meted out to the elderly, the physically challenged, the disadvantaged children in school. There is a lot of hostility. The government of the day is hostile against workers in the lower income group.
I mean, these people have no shame. They are workers too.
Well,
One of your leaders try to stand up for the workers and you're booing him?
well, yes, because there are some people. There are some people in Grenada that want the lower income group to beg and suffer. This is the reality.
Then they're heartless. They don't care.
Well, you remember the promise to let the children walk away from the schoolhouse, hoping them children fight. When they would remember the promise not to speak to children. These are the things that come in our society, and some people turn their head. And when we have violence like Trinidad and Jamaica, we're screaming. These things are created in society, you know.
Yeah, this is also this kind of anarchy in society.
The time has come for us to face reality. The government of the day declare restorative justice. And these are the practicalities of it. This is what happens when a government take a policy like that.
And he came to the fore yesterday, plain and clear.
And they want the NNP out of the teaching subjects, and so it's the government looking for green blood.
Is Jude Bartolome, that is his name? I mean, his speech yesterday was clearly an anti-NNP speech, pro-NDC.
Well, nothing is wrong in a union backing a political party.
No, but the opportune time for that is when, if there's a political meeting. He could go on the platform maybe and speak on the behalf of
well, maybe
he had to speak on the teacher's behalf yesterday.
Yeah, but remember.
All you were talking about was how glorious the NDC is.
But remember.
Type of thing.
But you have to remember the government have a policy of restorative justice. And he may be one of the militant arm of the government. You look at the sister that is, they throw her out from the seed program. She says she has Parkinson's disease. She have ulcers. They throw out of the seed program. She gave she telephone number. And those who criticize her, she said, you could call me and investigate. And she said they're taking out others.
Up to now, none of them call.
None of them call because look at the gentleman that is a strategic expert on public policy analyst. He said, we're making noise. He said, ignore them. It's just noise. The Minister of Social Affairs or what, she said, forget them. It's just one tune. The government on a program of restorative justice. And maybe the teachers' union is the union that agrees with them the most. And their workers are not affected.
I continue to listen.
Yes, my brother. No, this is the practicality. This is the workability. This is what takes place on the ground. Some of the people in the diaspora that support these things, they say it's a call they have. So don't let them people starve. You hear statement, let them go and pound stone in the river. You take these things a joke. But that is the practicality on the ground. I listen to some teachers on social media. And I say, God help some children in the school. I say parents, particularly parents with known NNP outspoken individuals. You have to be very careful with your children in the school. And maybe after you listen to the president of the teachers union, you will get a taste. There are some people, they won't touch your children because these people have clout and they have the academic clout, and the children principally go to school for socialization's sake. But there are other people who the children could face the wrath of the government's restorative justice program. This is the reality. You only start to see the practicality of it now. But I've been saying over and over, when the government introduced that policy, I was disappointed that people in the country didn't correct the government and say when these things take effect on the ground, you open a Pandora box. You're going to have serious bitterness and problem. Look at the fine of the workers in Grand Bay Estate. 30 of them, they send them home. Maybe they believe their blood too green. Look at the workers that were sent home that is managing pest management with the source up. They send them home. They publicly already stated that Imani over 25 have to go home. When we speak about these things, you believe it's in Sudan it is? Or in Africa? In Grenada here? You see, these people are not represented by union. They don't have powerful voice speaking. And Willie say, ignore the men in the north. He said the men from RealFM, ignore them. They only make a noise. And that is why when we come on the program, we dare and challenge them to take us on if what we're saying is not the truth. Take us on. And this is why the sister from Union, she put your telephone number, you in the diaspora, that's supporting restorative justice. She say you could call her. This is your telephone number. She give the world your telephone number. She say you could call me and investigate. She says she told the social worker, tell her, you have more people coming out. They put in, but they're taking out. And those they're taking out is a helpless one. And that is why I said the Prime Minister of Grenada, Deacon Mitchell, his behavior is like a vulture. I don't know if you know what a vulture means. You might have to go and look it up. If you don't know, for the children who don't know. But long ago, they had Gigi in the sky, the hawks. They wouldn't go after a cow or cattle. They would not go after a dog, but they go after chickens. They go after sick animals. Those that are incapacitated, those that are weak and vulnerable. Every time the National Democratic Congress comes in power, they go after the weak in our country. They go after the elderly. They go after the physically challenged. They take out money from disadvantaged children. Every time they come in power. In 1990, they fired the workers on government estate. And I named my individual Shotty because he was well known. They fired him too. In 2008, they fired Imanis. They used an elderly man to popularize the campaign stunt. And then they get rid of them. And this is what happened in 2020. So it is a common practice of the National Democratic Congress, but this time is a little worse. The NDC always fire or silence or marginalize moderates in the party. You could go back and look at the history of the National Democratic Congress. All the individuals who are moderates, they either throw them out of the party or these people get quiet. Are they hanging on on the outskirts to see what they get. Yes, caller, welcome.
Hey, Mr. Pierre,
Yes, caller, welcome.
what is the purpose of a government? Whose interest the government itself will be seeking?
One of the challenges we have, caller, we must know why we support governments. You see,
True.
the rich, a businessman might support a government who have a tax policy that is in his favor.
Yeah, that's true.
Somebody who is in the lower income group may support a government who have a policy that is in the interest of people at low income.
Benefit them. Yeah.
So what happened in Grenada, the ordinary man get tricked. They support a government that is not in their interest. The first thing the National Democratic Congress did was to go after the people in the lower income group. Here how they call them. It's a food people. They say them is a cult. They want handout. All these utterances was there. But people got tricked because the government said we go make all of you permanent. In 1962, NDC grandmother promised Grenadians you will get the same pay like Trinidad.
True.
So this is in the very DNA of the National Democratic Congress. And go back and look at NDC history. They get rid of all the moderates in the party. And now they have some hardliners. So people were deceived because they believe these people never go in politics before. They never run in politics. But that is the NDC. So the first thing they did was to give a tax break for people who pay tax. So most of their supporters, their friends, and themselves go to get tax break. And that is what they did. They take out 150 from the elderly and the physically challenged. And now the teachers union leader saying he is trying to implement restorative justice. So with public officers it's difficult because public officers are protected, but you wouldn't see some of them going on scholarship. You wouldn't see them getting promotion. You're going to see some children investigate any child. You hear they don't let graduate investigate it.
Mr. Pierre, but even some of the teachers, they have children. And the children may be, some of them that was working, but they were not in union.
But not all teachers going to agree.
No, not all. Yeah. Okay.
So not all teachers going to agree with that policy.
Yeah.
But they might not get but some of them going to be quiet so because they may not get a scholarship.
They go stay quiet.
So they're going to remain quiet because they know I might not get a scholarship, I might not get promotion. You're going to find some public officers that are really quiet. They don't want to associate too much with the opposition, even though they are supporting. And it makes a lot of sense because they wouldn't get a course to train. Remember, the NDC under MIT was advocating to go to NNP activities to see who are the public officers that are present.
Mr. Pierre, ask a question. Okay, all right. If you're thinking about yourself, right? So let's take my example. Let's look like you dress to go to church on a Sunday, and then while on the way to the church, there's someone in a drain and they're begging you for help. You're going to only think about you want to go to church and forget the person there. So that if you want to keep quiet because you feel for tap, right? You won't get certain things. But Mr. Pierre, I already believe you have to tack up.
You're going to find few people doing that color, but I'm a practical person. You're going to have few people doing that. But the majority of workers are going to stay real quiet. Remember, individuals have their mortgage, you have their home, and the government is in power. You're going to have those who are going to speak. But the majority is going to
So
stay.
they only seeking the interest.
You're going to have one or two color, you know. How much Kit Mitchell you have in Grenada? How much Gary you have in Grenada? Look at the politicians. Look at the last set of politicians.
Okay,
Some of them start to break already. Yeah. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, my brother.
Yeah, the people on him, some of the people on him, in Gary time, in Gary days, come up to Moise Bishop, from Moise Bishop to the seats of Blaze and Bentus and whatever. Why don't speak it on the program and tell them to pay off all the property land tax, what they owe, all the property land tax they owe from Gary to come up to Hobart Blaze, to Bishop, and whosoever was ever in government like prime ministers. That I want to hear the issue you come out and speak about, because a lot of people owe the government, especially the estates and them who say that they have lands and lands. They have to pay up all the dues, pay up the government, pay up, because so whole respect that you want to get free estate, free 5 acres, 4 and 5 acres. That's what I want to hear you speaking about. Have a good evening.
Yes, caller. Call on my program. You could call me program and speak on what you're speaking about. Caller, this program perhaps is the only program in Grenada that gives you an opportunity to change the subject matter. What you have to say is more important than what I said. So yes, you have the opportunity now, you say it. And you have to understand it. And I know you don't want to speak about the road now. You don't want to speak about agriculture now. You don't concern about the workers from Paradise Estate that be fired. You don't concern about those in the source up that have been fired. You don't concern about the school children that have been disadvantaged. You don't concern about that now. You don't concern about the woman with 5 children and she husband make for Trinidad because the government fire. You don't concern about that. And the boy particular, he afraid you'll give him talk. He tell her he can't take it. So he make for Trinidad. He left her pregnant. She tell me she have the child now. But she have 3 already. She had 2 for him and she was pregnant. So now she have 6 children. And the boy gone in Trinidad. He said he couldn't take it. I know you don't concern about that. The road no longer bad, is smooth. You don't concern about that. You want to hear about the tax. Well, the government of the day gave a tax break. Caller, they did that in 2008. They give a tax break. And at the same time, they take out $150 from the elderly, the physically challenged. And the girl with Parkinson's disease and ulcers, they throw out from the seed program. So caller, next time, call and say what you want to see. And you're always welcome on my program. And thank you very much. We'll be back with you again tomorrow between 12 and 1 for another program of On Target.